All right, Erica, so what are you preparing today?
Hi YouTube family. Well, today I'm going to show you how to do pinto beans. Now, for some of you, I'm not sure if you've ever done pinto beans, but I'm going to show you my method. You know, I always put my own little spin on stuff. So, what you first have to do, I already have them soaking, as you see. Then what? I had already started picking. So what I want to show you is the ones that you should be looking out for. And if you can see that, you see all of the ones that are broken or the ones that have some type of imperfection or bruising or cracking, or some even look like this, like they've been burnt. So those are the ones that you want to remove. Some of the ones like this that looks a little immature, you want to take those out as well. You see those pieces that are split, you really don't want to keep those. Anything that looks like any type of disfigurement, discoloring, or any of that, you want to remove those. So these are the ones that came out of that batch, which is pretty good because sometimes you get a lot, so you would have to use the whole pack of beans. But this was a pretty good batch, so we don't have to take too many of those out. So after I do my sorting, I soak them. And then that'll also reveal if there's any other impurities in the bean that you want. And you want to clean them well. Wash everything, you know, because they are in dirt and stuff. So you want to make sure that you're washing. This will reveal, as you see, that has a little impurity on it. So we want to remove those. And you just go through them. Do your little swirl. Pull them out. Kind of sort through them. Lay them out in your hand. You can even lay them on the counter if you want to, just to make sure you're getting them all. And just go through them like that. And once these soak just a few minutes, you don't have to soak them long. It's almost like, you know, doing a little wash soak. So you go in there, swirl them around, get all of that loose dirt and grit and grime that's on them, get it off. And you can see the water is a little murky. So you know that they need to be rinsed. So then what we do, we take our strainer and we strain that water off. We use the strainer just in case some of the beans fall in there, like that. And our first batch, and then we start rinsing. And that just moves all of the water around. Gets everything off the beans. And then those will be ready to go into the pot. What I'm going to do is do it in sections. So we're going to take those beans out. So once I rinse those, then I'm going to throw those in here with a little bit more water just to see if anything else floats to the top. Then I know that I'm cleaning everything in the proper manner. All of you know that's getting to know me know that preparation is the key. Preparation is my number one thing that I can teach you. If you take care of your food will take care of you. So prep is very important. So we're rinsing those, and we're going to do the same with this. We're going to add a few in. We're going to add a little water. Cool that water down some. Add a little water in there. We look around and see if there's anything floating on the top. Nothing is floating. Nothing is moving around there. Those are looking pretty good. So we're going to drain that water off. Looking around, making sure we're getting everything, and we're just going to add this batch to this batch. Then we're going to do the same for the last batch. Toss that in there. We've already rinsed these, so now we just want to see what's floating to the top. If anything's floating or anything reveals that it has any type of imperfection or impurity, we want to do that. So we shut that water off. We drain it a little bit so we can see. We go in and we just swirl that around, kind of lifting and looking and just examining. You know, once again, I cannot stress enough how important prep is. So make sure that you are really taking care. One thing about when you're doing things in the kitchen with food, and why I stress prep is so important, because anything that you buy, you examine, right? When you're going to buy a new pair of shoes, you want to make sure they fit well. You want to make sure that you can walk in them. So you're doing prep. So take that same kind, care, and consideration when you're in the kitchen doing your food. Because that is going inside your body. So you want to make sure that you're putting the best quality inside your body. So prep, my people. Prep. So we're pretty much done with this. Those look pretty good. We're going to get our colander again. We're going to pour those in there. And we're going to add the other batches to this. So this, as we go along, you'll see me picking and pulling things out because things are being revealed to me. That's why prep is so important. That's why I soak and I separate and I soak and I separate, because it allows me to see what's going on. It'll show itself. I can't stress it enough. I really can't. But these are looking pretty good. So we'll add that batch in here. We'll sort through this last batch. They look pretty good. Do a little once over rinse. And then we're going to add this to our meat. Now, we have some smoked turkey cooking. And I want you guys to get a shot of that. Okay, we have our smoked turkey cooking. And I'm just going to go in here and show you. Just turkey pieces. I didn't put a lot in this time. Usually I use like a wing or a leg, a whole leg, or both. Just to give that nice seasoning. Smoked turkey gives such a great flavor to foods. I don't use any other meats really. Smoked meat but turkey. I'm pork free, so I don't eat pork. So that's my turkey. As you can see, it's cooking up real nice. It's been cooking for about 20 minutes or so, and it turns out so tender and juicy. I've added my seasoning. As everybody know, I love garlic. So garlic is one of my main seasons that I use, and I use variations of garlic. I use garlic with rosemary, plain garlic, anything that has a garlic blend, I'll use it. Just love it. It makes food taste so great. And then I use a seasoning called Spike. It's an all-natural season that's a variation blend. It has all different kinds of things in it. So that adds a great flavor, and it's not salty. So I stay away from salt. The only salt that I use is the pink Himalayan salt. And it's a natural salt, so it doesn't add all of that sodium and things to your diet. So those are the seasons that I use. So this has already been cooking, like I said, for about 25 minutes. So it's almost ready. And what we're going to do is just add our beans to that. So we add the beans. We give it one stir, just to distribute them nice and even. And then we let that boil at high. We turn that up to high and let that boil. Once it starts boiling, then we shut that off for an hour. What that does is it helps the beans, almost like when you're cooking breads and you're making your own breads, it rises. The beans swell and they puff up. So that means that they're cooking in the steam, and that cuts down your time at cooking. If we let these cook like this, we would have to turn it down real low, and we would have to let it, mature that way, because you don't want your beans hard. You want a nice consistency to your bean. So that's my method which my grandmother taught me this a long time ago. She was such a great cook. That you do the settle time, which is an hour. You shut them off, you let it boil, then you shut it off for an hour. Once they rise, you can start cooking again, and that shortens your time about an hour. So that cuts a lot of time out, and then that allows you to do other things while your beans are rising. So as you see, they're gonna boil soon, and when I turn it back on, you'll see just the method that I'm talking about. So stay tuned. Stay tuned, YouTube family. We are cooking pintos today. Thank you. Bye. Okay, YouTube family, I'm going to show you the method that I was talking about the rising. You see that? Now remember when I put them in there, they're all settled down to the bottom and you really couldn't see the bean? Look at them now. You see how they've puffed up and they're rising now? So now you shut that off. And I want you to see just how well this method works. I'm shutting them off, and now the steam is going to cook them for about an hour. Now, they're going to be way up here when I open this pot back up again, and you'll see just how well that works. So we're going to take that, and we just want to shift just a little bit. Stir it just a little bit to agitate it some. And then we're going to cover that back up and we're going to wait for it to rise even more. So stay tuned and you'll see the finished product soon. Thank you so much. I can't wait. Bye.
How them beans come along?
Okay, so time forward, it's been about an hour. And we're going to see what our beans look like. Remember when I told you that they have to have a settle time where they rise like how bread rises when you need to cook it? Okay, so let's take a peek. Come. Let's take a peek at what these beans have done. Look at that. They've soaked up all that water. You see that? There's no water left in there. I mean, very little. They soaked it all up and they smell so good. See that?
Yeah.
I thought they may have rose a little bit more than that, but that's okay. So what we're going to do, toss these to the side. And we are going to, this is my utility bowl. I use this for everything. I just like the measurement of it. We're going to add some water before we turn it on because we don't know how much water is left in there. Okay, just a little bit. Okay, so now we can turn those back on. And we're going to fill that all the way up to the top. Because these have to cook at least an additional hour and a half. So we want to make sure everything is covered because they're going to soak up a lot more of this water as they begin to cook. And then you don't want your beans dry. So we want to have a little of that great gravy juice that they do. When they continue to simmer, they have a great gravy juice. And then we're going to use that to soak up on our cornbread. So we're stirring that just a little bit. And we're going to add just a little bit of seasoning. My garlic. You know how I love my garlic. And we're going to add a little spike. It's right around the top. That should do it for now. And we're going to let these cook for about an hour. And you stay tuned because you want to see that final product. Thank you so much for tuning in to Erricka's Healthy Log Cooking. See you soon. Bye.
Okay, Erricka, what are you getting ready to do now?
Okay, so time forward again. And it has been about 45 minutes since we started fixing our beans. So now we want to check and see what consistency they are. Ooh, see that? Remember that gravy that I was talking about that it was going to do? Remember how clear that water was at first? Now look at that. See that? That's that rich gravy that we're going to need. It's going to make those beans taste so good. As you can see, there's a difference in texture in those beans, which means that they are very close to ready. So to check the consistency, you just need to get 1 or 2. Okay, I got 3. And even though they're hot, I want you to see this. See that?
Do it again.
See that? That one was a little bit more firmer than this one. And we know that's a smaller one, so it's a little bit less firm. So we're just going to taste it to check and see what our seasoning is. Very good, but we can add a little bit more seasoning. Beans is one of those things that also sucks up a lot of seasoning. So you want to go along and you want to taste as you go along to make sure you're getting the right ratio. So we're just going to eat this one. Consistency is good. Not quite where I want it to be yet. So that means that we need to cook it at least another half hour. No more than another 40 minutes and they should be ready. So now we're going to add a little bit more seasoning. We're going to add a little bit of the spike. And we're going to add a little bit more of our garlic powder. Now, this is the step. And I only use this when I make pinto beans because it gives it, it gives it a nice flavor. Okay, this is seasoning salt. I usually don't use seasoning salt, but for pinto beans, for some reason, it just turns out so well. So I just add a little bit of that. Just a little bit. That was maybe around a tablespoon. And I also use a little bit of cane sugar. I like the sweetness that it gives the beans. Even though the meat gives it a little sweet texture, I really like the way the cane sugar make it taste. So I'm measuring out. That's 1, 2, 3, and that's where we're going to start for now. And we're going to taste again, and maybe in about 15 minutes, we're going to test to see what it tastes like. So we give that a nice stir to even distribute all of the seasoning that we just put in. And that sugar is also going to help thicken it up so that gravy will be nice and it'll soak that cornbread up real good. So we stir that around, and that smell, whew, so good, people, so good. So actually right now too, I'm just going to take my lid and I'm just going to add a little bit of water. Just fill up your lid. I use all the tools in my kitchen to work for me. And we add that water. We do a stir, ready to cover, and stay tuned for that final product. Thank you so much. See you soon.
Okay.
Okay, now we're just checking on our beans. And as you can see, that broth is now getting thicker. That's what's simmering in the cane sugar that we added. Now what I'm going to do, I want to chop up a little bit of this meat. So I'm going to get a few utensils here. And I just, oh, look at that. It just came right off. I didn't even need all of that. So that could just distribute well evenly into the beans. So that's doing pretty good. So as this continues, it's going to thicken up just a little bit more. We want to add just a little bit of water to this because we want it to be nice and juicy. We don't want dry beans. So, as you see, I use all of my utensils in the kitchen, so a lid full. And we'll give that a stir. We're going to test that broth. I may have to add just a little bit more sugar. That's really good. Oh, wow. But what I'm going to add, a little bit more garlic. I'm going to add a little bit more sugar. And I'm going to add a little bit more of the seasoning salt. I'm going to probably add a tablespoon. This is about half of a tablespoon in here. So we're just going to dump all that in there. And once again, that helps it thicken and give it just a little sweet texture. So we're going to rest our lid off because we've had a little bit of seasoning in there. We're going to stir that. That smells so good, family. That smells so, so good. So now we're going to let that simmer again for maybe about 20-25 minutes. We're going to turn it down because it's pretty. The beans have a good texture to them, so we don't want them to cook too much more, but we just want that gravy to thicken, that broth to thicken. So see the flame, we turn it down to medium to low, and we just let that go. Thank you so much. Tune in. We're almost done. We have to do our chicken, and we have to do our vegetables, and we'll be going to put this meal together as a complete whole, and we're going to enjoy. Thank you so much.
Oh, those beans look good.
And they got a nice gravy. That's exactly what I wanted. I may even add a little bit more water to this just to make it a little bit more juicy.
All right, well, those beans are excellent.
Those beans are good. My beans are ready, you all. Well, as you can see, our beans are done and they look amazing. I just want to thank everyone for tuning into this segment of the pinto beans with smoked turkey. And please don't forget to share, like, subscribe. Leave me some suggestions and comments. I will be so grateful to answer them, and maybe we can try a meal together. So thank you so much for subscribing. Don't forget to tune in to Erricka's Law of Healthy Cooking, and let's get healthy together. See you soon. And for our final presentation, we have prepared our pinto beans. We started first, and we added our chicken. We have our mixed vegetables, which consists of yellow squash, the cucumber squash, yellow, red, and orange peppers, our sweet peas, and our sweet Vidalia onion, our cornbread. And it was such a pleasure to prepare this meal with you and to show you how to prepare it at home for your family. Please tune in to Erricka's Healthy Law of Cooking. Subscribe, like, leave comments, share. Maybe the next meal we can do it together if you have not prepared this meal with me. I thank you so much for tuning in with me and spending time with me. It just does my heart good to know that I'm preparing food that's healthy and I'm sharing it with you. So thank you so much for tuning in. We'll see you soon. Wait for the next one. Bye.